So when I was in the US about 2013 or 14 and having spent about a decade over there, I realized that I'm missing something. And I didn't know what I'll do, but I packed my bags one day and I just decided that I'll come back to India and I'll figure it out. And that decision has not gone waste, I would say. Now, in Philips Education, what we do is we teach them life skills in a particular domain, which is advanced manufacturing, because India is going through a lot of technological advancements that AI plus human will replace human minus AI. It is not that AI will replace us. I think working on your weakness takes a lot of time, and you can become at best average at that weakness. And the world has become so competitive that there is no place for average people. I'm training them to become the lead of the company or start their own company. I'm the happiest when they want to start something of their own. I'm happy when they say, I want to take your chair. I'm actually very happy that somebody is now there.
Hi, our today's guest is President of Philips Global Education, the world's first skilling platform built specifically for machinists. He's also a chartered accountant and a Columbia Business School grad with experience at firms like Wells Fargo and EY. He's also a serial entrepreneur, having co-founded both Edu and Slay Coffee. So let's welcome Mr. Rakshit Kejriwal. Hi, Rakshit. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Jitu.
Uh, there's something very interesting about Rakshit. Generally, we have Indian students going abroad, studying, and they sort of find a job over there and they stay. And that's what we are. Everybody's worried. We are getting a lot of brain drain. The best brains are going out. But in your case, Rakshit, the first part of the story was similar. You did your CA in India,
Yes.
and then you went to do your master's in the US. You finished your master's, you got a job, you also got a citizenship, right? You worked over there for a few years, but you decided to come to India. So tell us about that story.
Uh, I think it's a fascinating story, and it is one that all Indians should kind of consider as well who are abroad, because a lot of development, a lot of excitement that we keep hearing as NRIs abroad is actually real. What happens here is we are in a growth phase in India, while in the developed countries like US or Europe, things are not happening at that pace that what we're experiencing here. Correct. So when I was in the US about 2013 or 14 and having spent about a decade over there, I realized that I'm missing something. And I didn't know what I'll do, but I packed my bags one day and I just decided that I'll come back to India and I'll figure it out. And that decision has not gone waste, I would say. You can add a lot of value to the society when you learn from multiple geographies. So I saw a lot of good things which I learned from the US, a lot of good processes, a lot of clarity of thought that they have over there. And I learned to deal with the chaos in India, which is full of excitement and opportunities. So I merged the two and I decided to stay back. And to be honest, not a single day I thought about going back. And that is a testament to what I'm enjoying here.
Yeah, it's interesting. You are leaving out the most amazing part of your story. That is, you when you came here, of course, your belief that India is gonna go to the next phase. But you also started a startup, and I know about the startup because I ordered something while I had something in Pune, in Bangalore, right?
Correct.
So and we met that time, right?
Correct.
And we spoke about this. So talk about your startup before we get into his current role and what is he doing and how his company Philips Education is helping the Indian education ecosystem. But before that, talk to us about your startup.
I think most entrepreneurship gigs, or I always say any kind of teamwork, is a function of adversity and scarcity. So unless you're not put into that situation, new ideas or new collaborations don't happen. I consider a startup a bigger collaboration or a teamwork. It's an extension of that, right? So once we were in Bangalore, we were trying to kind of launch a company then in education, actually. And we realized that our office coffee sucked. And we said that why do the office coffees have to be so bad, right? And we said, what if the really good coffee that we get on the on the tapris come to you magically in 30 minutes, and it'll be like so nice to have.
Okay.
And we said, if that's a problem we are facing, then the world would be facing as well. And our actual tagline, or the question that we asked on Facebook back then, was office coffee sucks. Are you ready for real coffee? And that was the birth of that young startup, which now today is called Slay Coffee. It's available almost everywhere in the country, and it's doing well.
Nice. You exited out of that business.
I exited in 2020 when a larger company, Rebel Foods, wanted to take over the company, and it was about 4 5 years into the game, and I decided to exit the company. Yeah.
Nice. So, you know, studying in US, working in US, being a US citizen, starting this amazing entrepreneurial journey, startup, exiting a startup on a high note, you've moved to education. So, and you said you wanted to start something in
Yes,
education. So,
yes.
finally, you're part of the education ecosystem. So, talk us through your company. What is Philips Education, and what are you all trying to do in India?
Yeah. So before I answer the question what Philips Education does, today I would like to tell what education means to me personally. Like if I were to open a brand new K-12 school or a college, what would it entail, right? It would entail not just academic rigor, which is important to some extent,
Hmm.
but it would also have things like emotional intelligence. Are you intelligent enough to deal with humans around you, friends and colleagues and all of that? Are you okay to deal with failure? And how do you come out of it? Which would be called failure management, right?
Correct.
Nobody teaches you that.
Yeah.
So there are various different aspects of life which makes you a successful individual,
Mhm.
whatever you are choosing to do. And I think that's the goal of true education.
Hmm.
Now, in Philips Education, what we do is we teach them life skills in a particular domain, which is advanced manufacturing, because India is going through a lot of technological advancements.
Yeah.
And hence, we need to have
The Make in India movement
Make
is
in
also
India,
sort of pushing it.
Atmanirbhar Bharat, the defense sector, the aerospace sector, all of these sectors require skilled manpower. And we've decided to go after these sectors because A, it is in alignment with our government, it is in alignment with the country's needs,
Hmm.
and it is in alignment with the career needs of a lot of people that we have to skill in India. So that's what we are going after.
Okay. So you have these specific courses aligned to different streams, or
Yes.
how does it work? So if a student is watching this and they want to know, or they want to reach out to Philips Education, first of all, is it directly talking to students, or what is the route that you've taken to reach out to the students?
So we are into mass scale skilling, and hence we work directly with the state governments.
Oh, okay.
So the state governments are the people who collaborate with us because they tell us that, you know what, we need to skill 10,000 people in a particular area. And we need to suggest to the state government that these are the roles which are called trades in our language, that these are the trades where there are lakhs and thousands of jobs available. Semiconductor technician has 5 lakhs open positions in the country. Drone technician is another 5 lakh open positions. If you become a drone technician in 3 months training, you get a 25,000 rupees job like that.
Just 3 months of training,
3 months of training.
and that started.
That's
Then
the starting. And you enter the civilized workforce, right? You are now a part of the trained workforce environment. We recently did 2 months of training in windmill technician for the windmills that you see. And clean energy is now the name of the game, right? Solar technicians.
Hmm.
2 months training, 25,000 job assured with large companies like JSW Energy and stuff like that. So these are the sectors that we have focused on because that's where the jobs are and that's what we do. So to your question, can a student directly reach out? Yes, they can. But we work with the state governments directly and we make the students a part of that process. But we also mobilize the students all over the country and bring them to our centers and train them. And sometimes we go to their states and train them as well.
But this is really interesting, right? Because everybody talks about Make in India, because that's what gets the headlines, right? But you guys are actually working to make in India a success, because we can think of 10,000 plans. A government can think of 10,000 plans, but if there is no team behind it, if there aren't people like you working towards it, then Make in India would be a flop. So kudos, you guys are doing an amazing job. Uh, I liked what you spoke about education, and this is what our podcast also focuses on, like what real education is. And because literacy, numeracy, or just being literate doesn't mean that you're educated, right? And I think education goes much beyond just getting a job. It's also related to how you lead your life. So my next question was, you spoke about the school part. So when students are getting out of schools and they're getting out of colleges, do you see the gap before they come and join a program like yours, where you feel, if they would have learned this in the school or this in the college, their life would have been much easier, or we could have trained them in a much better way?
I would answer this question in a two-pronged manner, right? I mean, the students are of two categories. One is somebody who takes up a technical role, like a technician or a drone technician, as I was alluding to. Somebody goes into the management roles, right? They sit in the office and do managerial roles. I would say that unfortunately, both these categories of students have a similar gap when they come out of either school or college, that they are not trained in the actual skills that they are applying for. So they are taught certain.
So once again, but these are really new technologies, right? I don't think so any colleges have courses on drone management or flying drones and all that. So
I agree.
yeah.
I agree. But even in management, even in marketing, which are being taught since 30, 40 years now, we've all learned marketing in our MBA schools and stuff. There also, they are not teaching what is going on in the offices. The problem is that the academia is not keeping pace with what's happening in the industry, and which is what being talked about a lot. And that is also we are seeing in the same vein in the new technologies, whether it's drones or EVs or semiconductors. It's the same problem. So what we feel is that there has to be there are companies now which are working with the academia, with the support of government, to fill in that gap. That now you've learned what is taught in the books, but we are also skilling you in what is needed in the actual work front, coupled with presentation skills, life skills, interaction skills, teamwork, collaboration. All of those things are also important, right? When you work in an environment, you have to work with five other people. If you can't deliver messages to each other, you can't take commands from your superiors, you can't retaliate when needed, that this cannot be done. And if you just say yes, sir, to everything, which is probably unreasonable, how will that function? And unfortunately, our students are not trained to counter anything which is coming from the top, provided they have a justification.
You've touched upon a very important point. I don't think so. You and me can solve this, but you know, even I feel that most of our schools are preparing children to be just um, workers who would obey, rather than, uh, skilling them to think, skilling them to find solutions, right? Skilling them to be more creative in whatever they are doing, right? It doesn't matter. We can be creative in whatever we do. Uh, and again, this comes back to what you guys are doing, right? You're also doing a lot of AI work. Is AI right? So, correct. And that's the buzzword. Everybody are talking about AI. Correct. It's extremely new. Most people use it like Google, yeah. Or nowadays, the camera is also on, right? So you can point at something and ask. But more or less, AI is just used as you know, a substitute of Google. Correct. They don't use it properly. From the education point of view, I think schools should definitely start skilling children on AI. Though I feel some of the kids know how to use AI better than the teachers themselves. Uh, Point in case, I have a 14-year-old who can use AI much better than I do. Uh, what are your views on this? And I know you're very passionate about AI. You've also done a TEDx talk on AI a few years back. Okay, so tell me, what are you guys doing on this? And if a student is watching, what can they do so when they become part of the workforce? How can it help them, further their career?
It's a multi-layered question, and it's a very good question. So I would take some time in explaining how I look at AI in education. AI is the language of tomorrow. So think about every student who's watching it or every parent who's watching it should think about AI as a language rather than as a tool or a technology. We could not have had this podcast if we both didn't know the language, right? Similarly, if in future you want to excel in something, AI will be your language, it will be your skill, and it will be your tool, all three in one.
Interesting.
Skills will become irrelevant because skill gap will be filled by the AI. Now I'll tell you something. Earlier, creative people used to be different from the non-creative people because they had the skill of creativity, whether it's writing poems, whether it is writing a lyrics for a song or something like that. Today, AI can do that job. And if you are a non-creative person, you can also write lyrics for a song, sometimes even better. And most of the time, it will be better because it has more data points, more emotional quotients that you can add than a human being can ever do, right? So it is somewhere passing the bridge of skills as well. So, what would a human need to do? And that is what the children need to be taught, that AI plus human will replace AI minus human minus AI. It is not that AI will replace us. And hence, sooner the schools realize this and make it an integral part of the learning process, it is better for all of us. Example,
Hmm.
in my office, any deliverable which the team presents to me or to anybody, the rule is, have you used AI tools to create the first draft? I don't think take it as a shame, or I don't ask them that be shameful if you've used it. In fact, it is a compulsion that they have to use the first draft for the through AI, which means that it will automatically cut down a lot of your time, and it will automatically give you the first draft, which is far superior than what a human can do. And there's no shame in admitting it.
But
But
the basic research is done by
basic research, basic output is done. But where do we come in? Is we know what we want, we know the vision, we have a human sense, the emotional intelligence, the emotional quotient that will never be surpassed by AI, hopefully. And if that cannot be done, we will always be important. So the students have to be told to learn how to use it for every step of the way rather than shielding them from using ChatGPT or any other tool by saying that they will become dumb. And a simple example is when calculators first came, people used to take pride in calculating mathematics in their brain. And they used to say that anyone who uses calculator is will become dumb. Now today it's a moot question that calculators is a part, like I mean is a part of our phones, right? And it's okay to use it. So similarly, AI will be something similar. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting take because AI is here. AI is here to stay, right? So it's not like,
AI is here to dominate.
yeah. So I mean, uh, domination might be a fairly negative, uh, but I think there would be room for coexistence,
Correct.
right? All this doomsday sayers and people who watched a lot of sci-fi think that it might end the world, but I think that AI and humans can collaborate and do it,
Correct.
and that's I think
Correct.
that is what exactly what your point was,
Correct.
right? So, yeah, the other part of the question was, how are you integrating AI into? Are you teaching any courses on AI? Is your institute teaching anything to skill the new generation?
Every course that has been delivered till date in the last 6 months has elements of AI in it.
Okay.
Our course material, our books, our case studies, and some part of the classroom training is all AI either based or leveraged from AI or using AI. We are not shying away from it. In fact, we tell the students that start using it. And you know the fun part? You don't even know, don't even need to know English to use AI. So there's a very big fallacy in the heads of some sections of the students that if I don't know English, how will I leverage AI? And AI can be taught in regional languages, in Hindi, in used in Hindi. So basically, you just need to have a vision. You need to know what you really want, and AI is there to serve you. It is almost like an obedient guard or a servant that wants to help you, and you need to train that student, that person for you. So we have to use it differently. Unfortunately, people are using it like a Google search, but it's actually a person to be trained who wants to help you. And if you think on those lines, it's much better.
Interesting. And you are, as you said, you work with states, so you're already working with people across the country.
Correct.
What all states are you working
We're
currently?
working in the north with Uttarakhand, in the west with Maharashtra, Gujarat, in the south with Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, in the east with Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, so and Odisha. So essentially a lot of coverage, and
It's culturally very different.
it's a culturally very
Language
different. Languages are different, but you know what? The good part is our technology cuts across people. So
Correct.
what we teach is needed by the whole country, and we've created a way to teach all these people these fabulous technologies, which will serve us well, make our country really strong. And I always like to say that can we become superpower without skilled manpower? So if we cannot, then we have to work on that. And that vision that we will take on America or Russia or China is not possible until our manpower is skilled.
Hmm. So, this is a very interesting point that you made, and I'm not trying to be political, but we see a lot of problems with you're in a particular state, you should know this language. And here you've given a very simple answer that AI actually doesn't differentiate. Whatever language you speak in, it will speak back to you and it'll help you.
Correct.
So I think it's super. I mean, so guys, let's not fight over language because AI probably will sort that out for us as well. So the point was, I was not trying to be cheeky on the on the language part, but I feel India is not a homogeneous, country. We have languages changing after every 50 meters, 50 kilometers. The dialect changes about 100 kilometers.
The language changes.
You're right. The language changes. So India is very diverse, and you work with a lot of states. Now I want to take you back to US because again, I wouldn't say US. I know, I've been to few parts of US, and I know from state to state, even they have their own culture, and it differs. Which part of US have you spent your time, and do you see the difference? What is the stark difference that you see, where you feel, what, this is where we need to work hard, both from people angle, like the people who are
Mhm.
planning to make India into a developed nation, and also from the student angle. Right.
Understood. So I lived mostly in New York,
Okay.
and there is a similarity between New York and India in the way that New York is also filled with immigrants and diverse cultures. New York has no its civilization of its own, right? I mean, when the country was America was being built 200 years back, people just ran to the promised land, and they are from all over the world actually. But one thing that unites New York is their unrelenting passion to work hard and to not say that I don't know this or this is not my work. Everybody is so committed to doing whatever comes their way that they are willing to learn new things, to do new things. And I think that is something that I have brought with myself in my own way of working. I never say that I have not done this before. Hence the jump from a coffee startup entrepreneur to a skilling with ease. I have zero problems in going back to something that I've done before or something absolutely new in AI.
That's the
That's
New Yorker act.
that's the New Yorker attitude in a positive way that there is nothing that you cannot do anymore because there's technology tools, AI to help you with everything, right? So and before AI also people didn't have that attitude back there. But sometimes in India, in some of the students I've seen that they will always say that, oh, I've not learned this in school or this is not my background. I'm a science student. I'm not a commerce student. Some weird things like these in current times. It's a weird thing because it's not allowed anymore to say that I don't know this anymore. If I want to learn photography, if I want to learn direction, I think I'm equally as good as a best director in the country. It's only 6 months of training that will create a difference.
So I'll interject. That's a term that you're looking for, is a polymath,
Correct.
right? People who can learn different skills and can combine that
Correct.
skill to.
Correct.
I think in recent memory, I think Steve Jobs was considered as a polymath. Back in the days, I think uh, who was the painter? Keep forgetting his name. who also made a bridge. Forgetting the name, but
Mm.
yeah. So he was so, and I see that, right, because I deal with children, and m- mostly young children, but I have my own teenagers, and I see a lot of them talk about this. So I want to elaborate. I want you to elaborate on that point. Is suddenly saying no is considered as empowering. I don't know this, so I'm not going to touch it. So this attitude shift, do you see that as a problem?
100%. I mean, if you start with a negative that I do not know this, I have not done this, I have too much work,
Hmm.
I'm burdened with a lot of work, these are all negative, heavy emotions that you are anyway surrounding yourself with. Forget about the counterparty negativity that you are giving, right? Imagine if I'm walking to you with an opportunity of a lifetime, and you say that I'm burdened with work, or I do not know this, or I don't have time for you. I think you're killing that opportunity, right? And by just saying that, hey, you know what, I have not been formally trained in this, but give me some time, I'll take a shot at it. That itself opens up so many opportunities for you. So I think just being open to ideas, and that unfortunately, that training has to happen in school, because that's where our British colonial mindset, or the system that was devised to make us workers, is still prevalent. That just be a follower, become a clerk, speak good English, and do mathematics, right? And we are still forcing our 12-year-olds to be good in mathematics, and when they are not good at it, why do you want to force them to be a good at mathematics, which anyway will be done by AI tomorrow? So what are you teaching them? What are you training them for? Can we not teach them failure management, emotional intelligence, critical reasoning, asking important questions? These are some of the things that they should be trained in.
It's very interesting. Now I want to ask you this question more about what an ideal school should be like. But I think we just sort of digress from the original point. Sorry, my bad, because I asked you something about students. But the question was like, what is the stark difference that you see between when you were talking, it was a thorough American New Yorker attitude coming out. And, I see that in some of the Bombay kids, right? They have that never say no, let's try it out
Yeah.
attitude. But when you go to other small states and, or not small states, but I'm saying far away states, which may not have a metropolitan city, do you see the same attitude like Bombay or New York, or, they have better attitude, they are more hungrier? What is the difference that
In India, when you go to smaller cities, in fact, the attitude is much more aggressive to do well.
Hmm.
They are dealing with lack of opportunities and lack of starting point. They don't have a starting point. Nobody walks to them and tells them that this is what you can do. They are hungry, and we've seen them. We bring them to our campuses, or we sometimes go to their cities and set up campuses. Their hungry attitude is very visible to us. They become very, very good at it. Just 2 days back, we had a graduation ceremony for our wind technicians, and JSW Energy was hiring about 100 of them. And you won't believe, for the graduation ceremony, each of those students walked up on stage and explained each aspect of the process, which was split between them, in front of the chief operating officer of JSW Energy and the HR head.
Wow.
And they could do that flawlessly. And I just jokingly asked one of the senior executives that, do you find any mistakes? They said none. So to be able to,
And who are these people who are talking?
these are kids from back, like very far-flung cities and states of India, Odisha, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, wherever we picked these
And their formal education was limited.
technical tech ITIs. So they are technically trained 19-year-old kids, 2 years plus 10.
Hmm.
We bring them, we teach them communication, we teach them technology, we teach them presentation skills to walk up on stage and speak in front of hundreds of people.
Wow.
Even educated MBAs don't have the belief in them to do that in front of their hiring team, and not the hiring manager, the chief operating officer of JSW Energy. They know who they are talking in front of, right? So it's possible with just 2 or 3 months of intervention. So their hungry attitude is there, their hunger is there. It's just that the channelizing has to be done by the society.
Correct. Which brings back to again to the school question, right? Like what you were raising a point that our education system is again, gift of the British Raj. They wanted a certain way the student should learn great handwriting, right? Nobody writes anymore. Everybody's typing. right? Because when you were a clerk somewhere, you had to write in a file, and then another clerk would come in. He should be able to read what you've written. So that's why handwriting was given a lot of importance.
They wanted three things.
Yeah.
They wanted good handwriting,
Yeah.
good grammar. That's why Ren and Martin, the Red Hood book, and mathematics, because these are the three qualities of a good obedient clerk. They wanted us to be clerks for them.
So a lot of schools are still hung up on that colonial past.
Correct.
Like, again, not trying to bring down schools. I know they have their own reasoning why
Correct.
they do certain things.
Correct.
But, short hair. I don't understand why should boys have short hair? They're not in the army. Right to Sunti. And
Again, discipline.
and most of them are gonna become like me in a couple of years. So let them grow out their hair if that's part of their expression, right? And and I like what you're saying that uh, I mean, I like that you pointed out a very important question is that it happens at the school level when you start stopping them, you start saying no, no, no to a certain things. By the time that child comes to say a 12th grade and wants to decide a career, they've heard so much no's that I can't do this, I can't do that, that their attitude becomes like, I can't do it. Especially, the cities. Now, smaller towns, obviously, because it's not so strongly enforced, right? So they still have that freedom. And plus, as you said, the hunger is there because they're lacking certain things, right? So they won't.
Mhm.
So I see the point you are trying to make. But, and see, this is what the podcast is about, right? What is real education? And, if you were given a task of starting, say, a K-12, can you say like 4 or 5 things which, if these things are there, then it'll make your job as a head of Philips Education much
Much
easier.
simpler.
Uh, so that is one. So that's one part. Then I'll ask you the second question. Yeah.
I think with all the new things which is going on, including new technology, AI, the world dynamics and the skills needed, an ideal school, if I were to set up today, would not have 10 subjects as the same 10 things that we test students on, which is algebra, geometry, physics, chemistry, biology, and all of those things, right? It can be all lumped into one, which is called academics. And we have to carefully say that or ask questions that if, say, assuming water is H2O, and if there are 100 such substances which have a formula like that, they don't really need to learn any of that. They just need to know that certain formula is now associated with these materials, because technology is there to help you with that. So why do you have to memorize it, right? Similarly, all the other things where you are memorizing or trying to learn something which is difficult to understand or grasp is not needed. So why don't we just club all the 10 topics or subjects into one topic called academics of 100 marks? Now let's add what are the other 4 things which will prepare them for life. Second is, are they asking important questions? Are they thinking right? So critical reasoning and critical questioning can be 100 marks paper. A third thing is failure management, which is if you fail in the life, eh, how would you bounce back? There has to be situations given to them.
Yeah, and everybody faces failure, right? You can't escape.
You have to fail in life to succeed again, right? How do you even deal with the class student who you helped in mathematics throughout your school days, and he will do well or she will do well better than you?
Probably, yeah.
Because life is like that, and you have to deal with that reality. So that's failure management. So you can't be jealous of that situation, right? So
Correct.
you'll have umpteen number of situations where you'll feel that I'm smarter than this guy, but I'm not doing as well. It's okay. So failure presentation skills. How many students in India can walk up on stage and really articulate what they want to tell you?
Their thoughts. Yeah.
And why not? It's so easy. When they are fearless, we put fear in them that don't raise your hands. You're too talkative. I used to get that comment. What is a child supposed to do? Not talk for 6 hours?
Unbelievable.
So basically, presentation skills, failure management, uh, critical reasoning, these are some of the 100 marks questions. And the last I would say is practical vivas have to be added so they can demonstrate what they can build. They have to build things from scratch, from their hands. We don't let students in India do that, and hence in India it's a do it for me. In America, there are DIY kits, do it yourself. In India, it is DIFF, DIFE or something, which is do it for me, DIFM. Even IKEA as a carpenter, which comes along with the furniture, right? Because we never build anything ourselves, right? So basically, why don't we build things from our own hands and become the creators when we are fearless, rather than being this fearful that, oh my God, something will break down. So 100 marks of academics and 400 marks of other things, which is survival skills, basically.
Yeah. And you also spoke about making it more practical, right? Because I think we accumulate knowledge
Yeah.
in schools and
Correct.
colleges, but when you have to do a course where you have to apply that knowledge, I think most students are failing because learning something and applying it, say it in presentation skills or articulating your ideas or implementing it to do a
Correct.
project like what you said,
Correct.
DIY sort of a thing. So very interesting. So I buy a lot of things that you're saying. I to completely agree with you, but from the academic point, I also understand that there are certain skills you have to learn because then it wires your brains in a certain way. So,
Correct.
we can't say don't do math because AI is going to.
It is important, yeah.
We have to do math because it's going to it's going to light up some part of my brain, which is going to help me in critical
Correct.
thinking, right? So the trigonometry formula might not help me. For example,
Sine theta plus cos theta is equal to tan theta.
tan theta. We all know it, but we don't know where to apply it. Right? So, so yeah, I get your academic point that combine it in such a way that students can apply it.
Correct.
So good. I mean, whenever you start at school, I'll send you some students. Right? I think it's a great point. And uh, the other point was like, if you were to hire somebody, right, a new kid, right, who's finished, you mostly deal with 10+2 or grads.
10 plus 2 and grads both.
Both. Okay. So suppose you have to hire a grad, not a post grad, not an MBA student, just a grad student who's gone through normal, 10+2 plus 3-4 years they've done their BBA or BBM, all the generic
Correct.
management sort of courses. If you were to hire them, what are the skill sets that you feel are still missing? And how do you hire?
I hire by a two-pronged approach.
Hmm.
I give them case studies, which generally include questions and cases which are not the domain expertise of that person. And it will be with incomplete information that is given.
Let me stop you. You ask them question which is unrelated to their
Not
domain.
unrelated, but may not be entirely within the domain expertise.
And why is that?
To see how this person reacts when something which is not within his syllabus of life comes in front. And life
Out
is
of comfort zone.
yeah, life is like that. I mean, you deal with questions and problems and situations which you've not encountered before. I can't say that I've not handled this problem before. I have to solve that problem, right? So problem solving outside the comfort zone and with incomplete information. Because I always say that if you want to become a clerk, 100% information will be given to you. If you want to be a CEO, 10% information will be given to you. Because you make decisions based on 10% information and 90% everything else, right? So that is the case study method. And second is basically by asking them to show and demonstrate what they can show me if that skill can be demonstrated. I don't want to see certificates. Certificates and degrees tell me that this person is diligent.
Yeah.
Not diligence I will expect from AI. So what is the other thing that the human being has to bring on the table is their ability to think outside the box, that X factor, that new thinking, that little bit of things which you can't expect from a machine or a computer or a robot. Those kind of things. And just putting them in a non-comforting situation is what I want to see, because comforting situation is easy for people to deal with. And as a supervisor, I'm not an easy person to deal with. I will ask them questions which I get faced with every day, and I ask them as my colleagues to help me in that. And they're not allowed to say that I've not seen this before, because then how will I keep answering these questions which I get faced every day?
Correct. Interesting. So basically, and I like this approach, right? That you are hiring people not so that they just do one function. You're hiring them so that they also grow and
Correct.
they probably should become a
The lead of the company.
Yeah.
I'm training them to become the lead of the company.
Or start their own.
Or start their own company. I'm the happiest when they want to start something of their own. I'm happy when they say, I want to take your chair. I'm actually very happy that somebody is now there. Yeah.
So Rakshit, you spoke about the schools. I mean, we you discussed how the school should be, but I think schools can't carry a lot of things on their own, not because they don't want to, but the point is, there are systems, there are things that they can't break out of, right? Because that's what is needed, or rather, that's the part of the system, right, which they can't break, even if they want to. But in today's day and age, parents also play a
Very
extremely important role. And I see this new age parents where, if the the have-nots, I understand, that they are struggling with their own stuff, but people who have, are privileged, I see either they are too involved, right? My child has to play tennis, they have to go and do swimming, karate, also art class, also chess class, and you know, you sitting right close to employment and how, because what parents are doing right now with the children, the result is going to come after 15 years, after 20 years, right? But you're very close to the industry. You're seeing the changes in the industry. What is the sort of workforce that is required? So, again, the question is for me. I have a 14-year-old, right? And what are the skills that I think I should teach him? And even for people watching who have children who are 5-year-old, 10-year-olds, right? What are the things that they can do? Small things that they can do at home, which probably the schools are not going to do.
I think two things that the parents should focus on, which I think they may or may not. One is are they helping the child to self-discovery? Uh, Most of the times parents are, burdening the child with their own unfulfilled dreams. That I couldn't become a doctor, so my child has to become a doctor. I mean, that's the most unfair thing that happens, and it happens. The parent is not wrong. Parent is going through its own evolutionary cycle of protecting his or her progeny. That is what every species does, right?
Correct.
Protects his progeny. Uh, but what they have to do is help them self-discover what they truly were and how would they do it. Not by throwing abundance. Throwing abundance means go for piano classes, ballet classes, karate classes, cricket classes. That's abundance. No child is born with so many skills. By actually practicing scarcity, that tell the child that I have only one, I have fees only for one sport or one thing. Which one would you like to do? I can't pay for everything, even if you can. Then let the child decide that if my parent can only pay for one sport or one something, what would that be? At least get to know. Otherwise, you'll send that child to 10 different places, right? So, scarcity will bring the self discovery part of the child. And the other thing is help the child fail and redeem itself. We are too protected these days in our school days or even college that we are not allowed to fail. And the parents are actually making sure that you don't fail while the life is preparing to fail them. Because after college, when they enter life, there is no protection that the parent can provide unless you are Ambani, right? So basically, who will protect you, right? So are you helping them to deal with failure and are you helping them self-discover yourself? And that's, I think, the parents' role, not schools, is my opinion.
Correct. And, it's interesting because, you spoke about failure. Either we are scaring the children of failure, that, if you don't do this, you'll repeat your class. But now they've even removed that, right? So till 8th grade, they're not making child repeat anything. So you don't fail till 8th grade, right? So, by removing failure, I think we've done a disservice to
This service.
everybody wins in a race.
That's not a race, right?
Yeah.
That's hobby or something going on. There's not a game, right? I mean, if there was no result at the end of a sport, it's a hobby, right? So essentially, I think there should be failure, and you have to learn how to cope with failure and bounce back rather than remove failure as a event. I think I don't agree to the fact that failure should not be handed over. Failure should be handed over, but redemption should be taught.
Nice, very interesting. And I think, yes, we deal with failures every day, right?
Every day.
We become thick-skinned, later on, going through, but not a lot of people can go through phases.
Correct.
That's why we see a lot of mental health issues. Correct. So I think that's one of the most important skill that, I mean, I've taken it from you, so maybe I'll start teaching my son that. Uh, Last question. Before we move, so we have another interesting section, but last question in this segment is, if I was a 15-year-old, what is the advice? Again, this is from both angles, because you are so close to employability and what people can work related to what jobs people can do. So I want it from both angles, from job as well as from life. So because job is not
Yeah, yeah.
be all and end all of your life. So if I'm a 15-year-old, what is that advice you'll give me in 3 or 4 sentences?
Mm, don't work on your weakness, because I think working on your weakness takes a lot of time, and you can become at best average at that weakness. And the world has become so competitive that there is no place for average people. So identify that one strength that everyone is blessed with based on self discovery that I just spoke about. And once you know that this is my strength, just spend every waking minute amplifying that strength. Become so awesome and insane at that strength that your weaknesses are not even visible to the world.
This is mind blowing. So what you're trying to say is that instead of trying to become I want you to elaborate this more, because
Yeah.
this is,
Yeah.
I said 3 sentences, but we can elaborate, please. Uh, you know, because most, the most, this is counterintuitive. Most people will give you an advice that focus on your weakness, So what is this thing about? How do you see this?
How do I see this? I analyzed a lot of overachievers in sports, in politics, in industries, in startups around me. And I found them to be insanely good at only one thing. And we accepted all their flaws with a lot of love because their one strength was so pronounced that they made a difference. Think about Virat Kohli, for example. He was advised when he became the captain to be more mellow, to be more polite, to not cuss on the field. He's a gully boy on the learned cricket on the streets of Delhi. If he would have changed his DNA to become a sober captain like a Gavaskar or whoever, he would have become a pale shadow of Gavaskar, not the Virat Kohli that we saw.
Yeah, we all love, right?
Yeah. So we are okay with everything, the theatrics that he brought to the gentleman's sport, right?
Correct.
So what it tells me is that he was just focusing on his strength. He never paid two hoots about the weaknesses or the so-called weakness that society deems it to be a weakness. So the students and the children should not be burdened with these work on your weakness nonsense. I feel that if I'm blessed with one strength, I would spend every waking minute amplifying it so that I become the best person that I was destined to be, rather than being an average engineer, average doctor, average MBA, average somebody that I'm not supposed to be. It's as simple as that.
Very interesting. This is something that I've learned today. So I'll start focusing only on my strengths. And I think it's a great advice for a 14, 15-year-old, right? Who's just starting to discover themselves. Be an authentic version of yourself and just focus on your strengths. Amazing. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
This brings an end to our main part of the podcast now. All the serious talk we'll have to keep aside. We go to a fun part of the podcast, which we've just added. You're the first guest who will be doing this, and it's a rapid fire. So, the viewers also want to know.
Is there a hamper? Is there a
We'll give you a hamper, don't worry. So we'll start with the first question, the fun part. This is the section where people will get to know the other side of Rakshit, because he spoke a lot of heavy stuff. So let's go to more easier stuff. So you don't have a lot of time to think. Okay, you have to be very quick.
Okay.
That's why it's called the rapid fire. So favorite movie.
Goodwill Hunting. Am I allowed to? Rounders.
Uh,
Both are Matt Damon insane movies. If somebody is
I've seen the first one. I haven't seen
Rounders.
I'll check that out. Okay, favorite book.
48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Again, very counterintuitive.
Yeah, nice. I think it's a great book too.
Yeah.
I'll put you on a spot. Favorite actress?
Well, I'm married to one, so I don't know if I'm allowed to say
I
anything.
think we'll if it is not good, then we'll cover it. But say favorite actress
I think
apart from your wife.
I think I don't have any favorite actress.
Okay, actor बोल दो. So, who's your favorite actor?
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. So, uh, then your favorite. So, let's talk about which was the craziest or the boldest decision that you've taken in your life.
I think it's again born out of scarcity and problem. In US, I wanted to play squash and I wanted to drink scotch. And I didn't have company because Americans drank beer and they played tennis. So I started a squash and a scotch club.
Wow, was
And
it
there
successful?
45 people enrolled, all Americans, converted from beer to scotch and from tennis to squash. So I realized that, you know what, you have to just start something, light the fire, and the people come.
This was college days.
This is Columbia Business School days, yeah.
One bad habit that you want to change.
I think a lot of people suffer from that, and I'm no exception. Procrastination, that I will do it on Sunday, I will do it on the first, or whatever it is. And I think the best way is to hang out with people who already are doing that and become their best friends so that you can do it together.
Yeah, interesting. From college, you went to Columbia Business School. So, if you were to compare Columbia Business School or IIM,
I've not been to IIM, so I cannot really comment. If I would have gone, I could have. But if I have to compare or I have to choose one, it'll be my alma mater, always, Columbia Business School.
so thank you very much, Rakshit. It was fun having you, and that brings to the end of our podcast. Bye.
Thank you so much for having me here.